Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. So, you know how practically every time you go to a new website these days, instead of a blank sign-up form, you get hit with those familiar little buttons? You know the ones. Continue with Google or Apple or Microsoft. We literally click them every single day. But have you ever stopped to think about what actually happens behind the scenes? Well, today, I'm going to be your knowledgeable friend, pulling back the curtain to uncover the real magic behind those buttons. Right off the bat, why does basically every app ask you to do this? Well, just think about the alternative for a second. The old way of browsing the web meant inventing a brand new username and password for every single site you visited. It's absolutely exhausting, not to mention impossible to keep track of. So instead of putting us through all that, modern apps are using a really clever, unified system to basically unclutter our entire digital lives. That lifesaver of a system is what we call single sign-on, or SSO for short. Now, I know if you're not a software engineer, the phrase single sign-on might sound a little bit like dense tech jargon, but really, it simply means verifying yourself exactly once with a highly trusted provider, and that gives you access to a bunch of different websites without ever needing to create separate passwords. It sounds great in theory, but let's actually look at how this plays out in the real-world scenario. To put that into perspective, let's just imagine you just moved into a massive, luxury apartment complex. At the main gate, a security guard checks your ID once, verifies it's really you, and hands you an access badge. Later, when you want to hit the gym, go to the pool, or check out the clubhouse, you don't have to show your ID to a brand new guard every single time. You just swipe that one badge, and you're in. Well, single sign-on works exactly the same way, just for your digital doors. Okay, so let's see how this actually works out in the wild with a real app like Canva. You can kind of think of Canva as the art studio inside that digital apartment complex we just talked about. When you want to jump in and design a presentation, the absolute last thing you want is the friction of inventing and then trying to memorize a brand new password just for that one room. So you look for your digital access badge instead. And this is where the invisible handshake happens totally behind the scenes. You click Continue with Google on Canva. Boom, a secure little window pops up where Google steps in and acts as that apartment security guard. They verify your credentials, make sure you're you, and then they send a trusted digital nod over to Canva. And just like that, Canva logs you in automatically. One login, multiple services, 0 new passwords required. Pretty slick, right? Now, you might be wondering, why do companies absolutely love this setup? Well, it completely solves what I like to call the password problem. You see, traditional passwords are, honestly, a massive security risk. Human nature basically dictates that we're going to reuse weak passwords across multiple sites or just forget them entirely. Every time an app forces a user to make a new password, it literally creates another vulnerability and, frankly, a lot more frustration. So with SSO, everybody wins. You get to jump right in and start working quickly without racking your brain for a new password. The app support team deals with way fewer of those annoying I forgot my password emails. But best of all, smaller websites actually get to piggyback off the massive billion-dollar security resources of giants like Google and Apple. That means you get advanced fraud protection on smaller apps that could never, ever afford it on their own. But look, as we're digging into all this, I gotta be straight with you about the trade-off here. Let's think back to our physical apartment complex analogy for a second. Having one badge for everything is incredibly convenient, for sure. But what's the one huge risk? Losing it. If someone steals your one access badge, well, suddenly every single door in that entire complex is wide open to a complete stranger. And this translates perfectly over to our digital lives. Because if a bad actor actually manages to hack into your primary Google or Microsoft account, they essentially hold the master key to your entire digital kingdom. The sheer convenience of having just one lock also means that there is literally only one lock standing between a hacker and all of your connected sensitive data. Oh, and real quick before we wrap this up, let's do a little tech jargon translation. Because if you ever hear IT folks throwing around scary-sounding acronyms like SAML, OAuth, or OpenID Connect, please don't panic. If they say SAML, they're literally just talking about a specific type of digital badge. OAuth and OpenID Connect, those are just the technical rules for how the guard checks that badge. And an identity provider, that's just the security guard itself, like Google, Microsoft, or Apple. It's the exact same apartment concept, just dressed up in fancy engineering words. So ultimately, SSO is this brilliant tool that lets you sign in just once to safely unlock your entire digital world. But knowing that your primary account is quite literally the master key to everything, I want you to ask yourself this today. Is your primary badge actually locked down? Are you protecting that main Google or Apple account with a genuinely strong, unique password and multi-factor authentication? Because if you secure that main gate, the rest of your digital complex is an absolute breeze to explore. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.